All right, I'm going to demonstrate how to use some of the basic functions in Google Sheets. Um, to get to Google Sheets, if you're on the Chrome web browser and you either initially open Chrome or open a tab using this plus button, you should come to a screen like this that says Google with Gmail images, the square, and a logo that may have your first initial in or some other thing quite like like the little symbol I have here. We want to click on the square and we want to find Sheets. This will open up Google Sheets. Once we open up Google Sheets, to create a new sheet, you'll see a colorful plus symbol. You'll click that. Again, step one, once the sheet loads up, which takes just a few seconds, is to title it the sheet. I'm just going to call this Zach's sheet. And now that I've titled it and I move into the cells, everything's saved. Everything saves as I go. So no worries about that. I'm again in column A, which is indicated here, row 1, which is indicated here. Columns are vertical, rows are horizontal. Okay. Row 1 is here, row 2 is here, column A is here, column B is there. That's really important, especially when we start to build the spreadsheet out further. In column A, I'm going to call this date. Column B, I'm going to call this expense. Column C, I'm going to call this cost. I'm going to name under the date 6/1/20, 6/2/20, and then I'm going to highlight 1 and 2, and then I'm going to get into the square, that thick square, and create crosshairs like this, and I'm going to drag it down till I get to June 6th. In column B, I'm going to create cost names like car payment, maybe, rent, home insurance, clothes, Duke Energy, and let's make the last one food. I'm then going to assign a cost, which is just a basic number. So I'm going to come through and give all these expenses numbers. Okay. Once I've input my dates, my expense names in, the number or the cost for how much the expense is, I'm going to highlight the cost top to bottom, and I'm going to come up here to the dollar symbol, and I'm just going to click that. Now I've converted everything from just a basic number to a dollar value. All right, let's talk about adding the entire column to see what your cost total would be. We want to highlight the top cost, go down, and then we're going to come up to this little symbol on the toolbar that almost looks like an E, and underneath this E gives us different functions. We can get the sum, the average, the count, etc. The sum will allow us to see the total. It just simply adds up everything. Once I get that input, all I do is hit the enter button on my keyboard. It totaled up. The total of all my expenses, $3,350. Okay. I'm going to take that out. So again, I highlight everything. If I want to add the entire column of numbers, go to my E, which is the symbol up here, function, and then I'm going to ask it to give me the sum. I'm going to hit the enter button on my keyboard. I get the total. Now listen, if I don't want to add up all the numbers in my column, I just want to add up 2 or 3 of them, or less than the entire, I go to the cell below the last number in my cost category, 700. Okay, I'm going to type in the equal symbol. The equal symbol is right by your backspace or delete key. I'm going to write the word sum. I'm going to hold the shift button down and hit the number 9. That creates an open parentheses. Then I'm going to hold my control button down. I'm holding it now. That's the CRTL key on your keyboard. Hold it down. Make sure you're squeezing it. Touch the left mouse button and pick out the exact numbers. Let's say it's these 3 expenses. I am going to add C2, C4, C6. So I'm in column C. It's saying C, row 2, C, row 4, C, row 6. That's going to all be added together when I hit enter. And you see my total is $500. So again, if I don't want to add the entire column, I just want to add numbers. I'm going to touch my equals button. I'm going to write in the word sum, S-U-M. I'm going to hold my shift button and I'm going to hit the number 9. Then once I've done that, I'm going to hold the control button on my keyboard, the CRTL key down, and I'm going to choose by clicking the left button on my mouse, the numbers out of the cost category that I want to add. Once I've done that, I'm going to hit the enter button and it adds those numbers that I've selected up. In this case, I added C2, C4, and C7 for a total of 1,100. Okay, I'm going to erase that out of there. So this is how we can put in dates, expense names, cost, turn numbers into dollar symbols or give it a currency value, add up an entire column of numbers or add up individual numbers. Now, let's talk about if I wanted to add another column, okay? Let's say I just wanted to know how many total expenses do I have? Like what's the number of expenses I have? Well, let's say I wanted to put that column in column A where there's presently the date, okay? I'm going to get in column A, row 1. I'm going to then go up to these options up here where it says File, Edit, View, and I'm going to choose Insert. And then I'm going to insert a column on the left side. Why? Because that column is then going to be placed in the A column space where date was. And I'm going to call this row numbers, okay? And then it will allow me to number my expenses, 1, 2, and instead of going in order like 1, 2, 3, I can highlight 1 and 2 because the system now knows that I'm adding by just one number. So when I drag that down, it tells me, hey, you have 6 expenses. I have a car payment, rent, homeowner's insurance, clothes, Duke Energy, and food. Okay, so I inserted a column by choosing the column that I wanted to insert close to, which was date, then going to up to this row that has File, Edit, View, Insert, choosing Insert, and then I chose to insert a column in that situation. And on the left side, because I wanted the column to be in column A, where I previously had date. I can use that same thought process if I wanted to add in an extra expense. Let's say I wanted to add the extra row. Remember, a row is in this 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and it's going across. Let's say I wanted to add a row of information between my second and third expense. So between my rent and home insurance. Let's say I wanted to add the expense called remodeling, okay? And again, I want to add that row between 2 and 3. So I'm going to click on the column A, row 3, because I want to put the column in between 2 and 3. So I'm going to click on 2. I'm going to go up to Insert, but this time I'm going to do a row, but not above, below, because I wanted to go between 2 and 3. So now I have a row between 2 and 3 that's blank. And you're going to say, well, Zach, that's going to throw this number out of whack if I would come in and make this the third column now. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't worry. Highlight 1, 2, 3. Get the thick block here. Put your cursor in it. It turns into a crosshairs. Drag down. Magically, now you've got expenses 1 through 7. But you don't have a date. You're going to say, well, that throws the date order out because it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 3, etc. Again, let's not panic. Let's now call this 6, 3, 20, okay? And again, we're going to highlight 1, 2, 3, or June 6th, 2nd, and 3rd. We're going to get in the thick block, turn our cursor into a crosshairs, drag down. And again, magically, it's June 6th through 7th now, all in sequential order. We'll call this, like I said, remodel, just in case you want to make updates to your house or whatever. And we're going to give that a budget number of 400, and it sees everything else in the column as a dollar amount, so it assumes that's a dollar amount as well since I entered a number. So now I've got everything kind of nice and neat. But what if I didn't want my information to be organized like this? What if I wanted to know, hey, what's the most expensive thing that I have to pay out? And what's the least expensive thing I want to pay out? Well, we can sort the sheet, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and sort it. This is a mistake to sort your sheet before you've done something, but I want to show you what would happen if I sorted my sheet and I tried to make the most expensive thing up here at the top and my least expensive thing down here at the bottom, okay? I'm going to do an A to Z sort, but look at what happens. For one, it brought my least expensive thing to the top and my most expensive thing to the bottom, but it also skewed my numbers and date, expenses, and costs. We don't want that to move. So what you can do when you make a mistake like this isn't erase the sheet and start over. That's a lot of work that we would be throwing away if we did this. We can hit the Control, CTRL key on our keyboard, hold that down, and hit the letter Z. Everything goes back to the last action we took. So I'm back to kind of where I had things. What I need to do in order for numbers, date, expenses, and costs not to move is I need to do a freeze. We need to make this a static header row. Headers are what describes the column. Numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dates, June 6th through 7th. Expenses, all the things that are in C. D is costs. So we don't want those descriptions to move because they aren't really part of what we're describing. They just tell us that's what the category is. So we're going to go up to, again, File, Edit, View, Insert, and we're going to choose View. And once we click View, there's an option called Freeze. We want to freeze row number 1. And it's important when I go to View and I go to Freeze, I have to go straight across because if I go down, the freeze moves. Freeze, I'm going to go straight across till I get to no rows, and I'm going to drop down to freeze the first row. You know the row is frozen when it has this thick gray line. This lets us know that row is locked and it won't move if we sort the sheet. Now, I told you I want the most expensive thing in my cost to be at the top and the least expensive expense in my cost row to be at the bottom. In order to have the most expensive thing at the top, we're going to choose a Z to A sort. Z is the highest value, A would be the lowest value. So by sorting it Z to A, highest will come up top, lowest will go to the bottom. So we're going to choose in column D, the drop-down menu, and then we're going to sort Z to A. When we do it, notice numbers, date, expenses, and costs stay where they're at because we froze the row, but the most expensive thing, the rent category, went to the top, and the least expensive thing, the energy bill and the homeowner's insurance, are both at the bottom. But you might be having a fit because your numbers are all skewed. Now your expenses aren't in order. Now the dates aren't in order. Well, how do we fix this? We can just simply move things again. Okay, we can take the dates and we can say, hey, move these A to Z. Now those are in the right order. And now the numbers are back to the right order. Okay. You can always sort until you find the comfortable alignment for how you want to view the information that you've laid out. Okay. There's infinite ways to organize information, to add rows, to add columns up, to arrange information that you put in it in various sequences and orders. There's so many different things you can do. But if you model what I just did, you will start to build your confidence with using a spreadsheet in a pretty basic way that's very powerful. You can also do, and this is the last thing I'm going to show on this specific lesson, You can also work on your Control A, Control A, the CRTL button plus A, that highlights everything. Then you can work on your Control C, that copies everything. Then remember, don't click, or I'm sorry, don't hit the Control V, which is to paste right away. Let's say we're going to click right below the 7 cell, de-highlight or take the highlight off everything. We're going to hit our Enter button 2 times, come down, and then we're going to hit our Control button, the CRTL button, hold it down, hit V, and it should paste. Boom, it did. Pasted everything. Let's say, I don't want to do that. I'm going to hit Control and Z, the CRTL button, hold it tight, hit Z, takes everything out of there. Again, Control A equals highlight the whole shoot match, highlight everything on the sheet. Control C, copy everything that's highlighted. So your CRTL button with the letter C as in cat. Don't hit Control V right away. I know that gets tempting. Click your mouse, make the highlight go away, hit your Enter button 2 times, hit the Control button and the letter V as in Victor, release it, and you duplicated all your work with literally hitting a few buttons versus retyping everything. And if you want it all to go away with just another easy move, we're going to hit our Control button, hold it in the letter Z, and it's all erased. That is a basic lesson in using a spreadsheet that really gives you the fundamental understanding to do a lot more difficult tasks in the future. Master that, and you're well on your way. Hope that helps. Thanks so much.